Is this how we're gatewaying now? Yeah. Wow.
6 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Hey, it's the final hour of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective with our brand new sick tune. What do you think? What do you think? Let us know on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. And that's where you can also stream us on our social media platforms. Download our brand new Channel Africa app so you can stream the shows, check out the lineup, learn more about the presenters, see all the amazing work that Channel Africa is doing behind the scenes. What's coming up in this hour, the final hour? Mmatsheko Mosito, I understand that it has to do with luxury goods and luxury items, but more so from an investment point of view, not just as a splurge.
You know what I love about this day and age, and the fact that we are all facing mounting insecurity economically, is that we're just looking around us. You know, we're finding money in the soil. We're finding money with our assets that are around us in our homes, you know, even on our wrists, if you will believe it. All right. So we are looking at ways to secure wealth and looking at sort of, I don't know if we can call them non-traditional ways to invest.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're going to have our good friends at Luxity back on the show. The last time we spoke to the founder, Michael, of Luxity, we were talking about handbags. And how they were, or how they are basically getting second-hand luxury handbags and resell, and they are the official resellers of those particular handbags, is what I'm trying to say. But also we are looking at, or with them we're going to be looking at today, revelations around a 2025 report that talks about the Swift luxury watches space, jewellery, handbags are in there as well, but also how people can actually make money off of pre-owned Rolex watches and other brands of the same caliber. So we're going to have Michael back on the show in his capacity as co-founder of Luxity, which is a South African leading pre-owned luxury, I think that's how we say it.
Luxury.
You see now, you're spoiling it now. Luxury marketplace. Okay, we're going to talk about the space of watches, which is really, really fascinating.
Oh, it's an ideal time to, if you own a Rolex right now, you better hold on to that then. You better hold on, because that value is going to increase and increase over time as it stands through this report. When you're owning these timepieces and even pre-owned ones, the value of them at times even surpasses and outperforms traditional investments by over 100%. Ha! This is a conversation you need to be a part of. Don't go anywhere. It's 9 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time.
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective. In this episode of Channel Africa Conversations, Peter talks to Dr. Thulisile Buddha, an academic, author, and an expert in indigenous knowledge systems. Join us for a compelling discussion on preserving African languages and traditions in the digital era. Dr. Thulisile unpacks the role of educators, explorers, and how technologies like AI can support cultural preservation, and challenges us to rethink how we honor African heritage. You can find the episode on YouTube, SABC Plus, and on our website, channelafrica.co.za. This episode is a must-listen for educators, creators, and change makers across the continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The music that talks to your soul. On Channel Africa, the African perspective. Tebogo and Mmatsheko from the
16:15 on the digital clock. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside. Traveling to Gabon with Seva. That's the title of that song by Oliver Ngoma coming through. And isn't that a beautiful thing that his surname is Ngoma or Ngoma? And in translation, that would translate to song in the Nguni languages here in South Africa. Thanks for being with us. We're talking luxurious items, not for the sake of talking about it, but really how you can see investment in that.
100%. Luxury goods as financial assets. Well, you have to think twice now before you call that handbag splurge. Just a splurge. You know, when you're in a relationship and your partner's like, please get me a handbag. And like, no, like it's so expensive. It's an investment, my brother. It's an investment.
I love it.
Because across South Africa, savvy investors are turning to luxury watches, handbags, and jewellery as serious assets. According to the new State of the Luxury Market in Africa report, some pre-owned pieces like Rolexes are outperforming traditional investments by over 100%. In a volatile economy, luxury is proving not just stylish, but strategic. To break it all down, we are joined by Michael Zahariev, co-founder of Luxity South Africa's leading pre-owned luxury marketplace. Michael, always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. Since this report came out, have you seen more people buy from Luxity over the past couple of weeks?
Well, it's funny that you ask, but there has been a lot of news recently, particularly around Rolex as an investment. And we have actually seen some clients approaching us, to purchase some Rolexes for their investment value. So I do believe that there is certainly aptitude in the market. But what's more interesting is that the report talks about the performance of what consumers are doing in the past year. And just from the report, we're actually able to derive that, consumers are not only looking at buying pre-owned in terms of what the most popular brands are, but they're also choosing which brands are going to give them a return, which brands aren't going to lose their value over time, and that's impacting their purchasing decisions. So this kind of rise of what we call the savvy shopper, someone who's a lot more conscious of the fact that these items, they might not make a profit on them, but they are going to get some money back. There is some kind of a value to this. And depending on which ones you pick, you're going to end up with more or less money in your pocket when you do choose to sell the goods and move on to another one.
Watches are particularly interesting, Michael, and as I understand it, the report also speaks about how pre-owned items, mentioning Rolex watches in particular, and how they are outperforming brand new purchases. What do we attribute this to?
Well, there's a very low supply of Rolex. So what some of your listeners and viewers might not know is that for a Rolex, you can't simply just walk in and purchase a Rolex. It doesn't work that way, even if you can afford one. There's long waiting lists, and especially for some of the more rare models, the sports models, they're very long waiting lists. So what happens in the market is because of these waiting lists and so much demand for this brand, over time, if you're looking to purchase one, people are willing to pay more for a second-hand Rolex than a new one because you just don't have access to a new one. So essentially what that means is if you do get access to a new one because you're a good customer of theirs or you've built a reputation with Rolex, that's what determines if they'll sell you a new one, especially the more rare models. Then you could essentially purchase that watch and resell it for more than you purchased it immediately on the second-hand market. And our report indicates that in South Africa, based on our data, it's selling at 26% more than what it is selling new on the second-hand market.
Yowza.
These are very impressive numbers, Michael, that you're bringing to the table. We're talking luxury goods as financial assets, and we'll continue our conversation with Michael Zahariev, co-founder of Luxity, South Africa's leading pre-owned luxury marketplace.
Channel Africa, the African perspective. Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Qu'est-ce qui vous a amené à dire ça? Est-ce que vous avez observé un certain nombre d'événements dans la vie? Est-ce que c'était par rapport à une expérience? Est-ce que vous avez rencontré des choses qui vous ont dit il faut de la patience, comme ça les choses vont venir au bon moment et les bons dieux pourra peut-être me visiter?
Oui, c'était justement un conseil que le Seigneur m'avait inspiré pour donner à son peuple, parce qu'il y a la plupart des gens, pendant que Dieu bénit les autres, ils pensent que Dieu les a oubliés, et pendant que Dieu ouvre pour les autres, ils pensent que peut-être Dieu n'a pas pu écouter leurs prières. Alors ce n'est pas le cas. Alors Dieu bénit tout un chacun de nous avec son temps. Donc le temps de Dieu est toujours le meilleur dans la vie de tout un chacun de nous.
Mix Vibration tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Buying a luxury item now is no longer just a splurge or just to, have something that looks nice. It can actually be an investment that outperforms traditional investments. And we're currently in conversation with Michael Zahariev, co-founder of Luxity South Africa's leading pre-owned luxury marketplace. Michael, let's talk about some of the items that we need to look out for. Yes, we touched on Rolexes, right, and a great return on investment there. And what about handbags? Are there certain brands at the moment, handbags or even bracelets, that we need to look out for? I know Cartier is one of those, but I've also seen the likes of Louis Vuitton, whose market value hasn't increased over a period of time. It actually has decreased right now as it stands, especially with someone like you who works in this space. What are those luxury items that we need to look out for right now as a great or a smart investment option?
So one of the rules of when you're looking to look for something that's going to return value or grow in value over time is the heritage pieces, the pieces that have been around for sometimes many decades. And in particular, the brands that have these heritage pieces. So, for example, some of the greatest returning assets, and one which we measure year on year, is the Chanel double flap or single flap bag. This is an item that Chanel has had around for many decades. And every year, Chanel is increasing the price of the new one between 10 and 20%. Now, because the secondhand market is priced based on the current new market, that means if you own one, a secondhand one, every year your secondhand value of that bag is increasing by 10 or 20% because the new prices. So Chanel flat bag is a great example of an appreciating handbag that over time will grow in value. Currently, just to give you some figures, a Chanel double flat bag new is around 190,000, and on the pre-owned market is trading at about 140,000 rand.
Whoa.
So these are quite big values. Another famous one is the Hermes Birkin bag. That's the most famous handbag, arguably, and it comes in many varietals of different leathers. But a standard Hermes Birkin bag, new, is trading at around 200,000. Again, you cannot get access to this if you just have the 200,000, similar to the Rolex. And therefore, on the second-hand market, that same bag will trade between 400,000 to 600,000. So that's 2 to 3 times more expensive than the brand new one. So what the message here is, when we're looking at investment pieces, the lower the supply, if the brand's really controlling who has access to the items, the more you'll get in terms of return, because that demand isn't met. And particularly in South Africa, brands like Chanel and Hermes, they're not available. There are no Chanel or Hermes stores in terms of their handbags. So therefore, if you have access to those items in South Africa, they sell particularly well on the second-hand market.
This is fascinating. I mean, and every time we speak to you, it always just sounds like a masterclass in luxury items, especially in the pre-owned bracket. So walk us through it, okay? Maybe I'm new to this investment space and I've got some money to splurge. I don't know, I had a successful project or I won the lotto, whatever the case is. But how can somebody actually evaluate whether a luxury item is a smart investment versus just luxury for Instagram purposes?
Well, I mean, our advice is always to, even though these do have an investment case and there is a return, it is important to always remember and purchase these with the love for the items. I think that any use case is going to begin with that. And even from an investment point of view, you still have to have knowledge. There are a lot of intricacies, besides the fact of these very popular, very well-known investment cases like the Chanel flap or the Hermes Birkin. When we're talking about, the broader range, you really have to have a market knowledge and a love for these brands. Once you have a love for the brands, you start to understand, within each brand, which model sells particularly well, which material is particularly well. Perhaps there's a bag that's about to be discontinued. If it's a very popular bag that's discontinued, then that's going to appreciate in value over time because, again, there'll be no access to it. So, it really starts with a passion and a love for a certain brand or a certain type of handbag, etc. And you build from it there. It's very difficult, like in any investment case, if you just come with very little knowledge and you're just looking, to make a purchase. That wouldn't work in property, it wouldn't work in stocks, and it's not really going to work in luxury handbags or watches, etc. So really, beginning with the passion is, I say, the best way to learn, get to know the brand, get to know what makes that brand famous, etc., and build from there. Of course, you can always talk to our consultants, but we're not there to sell you an investment piece. We're just there to show you, I think, as many people are seeing, that there are investment cases. And this really started with the pre-owned market becoming such a mainstream topic because people who bought a handbag 5 or 10 years ago were coming and selling it to Luxity, and they were saying to us, oh, wow, I actually got more than I paid for this 5 or 10 years ago, and that's where the realization that these assets actually have value and often grow in value came about.
Michael, speak to the younger audience who, because we're having these conversations, and for a younger audience, it may seem very far-fetched. You're talking big numbers here, investing in pre-owned luxury items. I can't even afford my rent. Where can we start? Where can young people start in investing? Yes, I mean, not necessarily that you are talking about investment, but how can we get into the pre-owned luxury space that is somewhat accessible to us, that we can grow this passion over a period of time?
Well, I think that's part of what makes the pre-owned space so exciting, because it's not just the case that, you're getting a bit of a discount often on what the new item is, but it's also the fact that you can use different things like buy now, pay later, or our reservation system where you can pay it off over 2 or 3 months. Obviously, if you went to any of the new brands, they're not going to let you pay it off over 2 or 3 months. You either have the money or you don't. So I think these are things that the pre-owned market is creating access. Also, we deliver on, we sell online. The brands don't sell online. So that's giving access to certain individuals outside of the major cities, which is very important. Now, also what we see, and when we talk about the savvy consumer, is that it's not just about the money you spend. It's about the money you can get back when you sell the item. So if we imagined you can buy, for example, a secondhand Burberry coat from Luxity, new, it's about 50,000. At Luxity, you're purchasing it for 20,000. Now, if you bought a new coat from, let's say, a fast fashion brand, you might spend 5,000. So yes, of course, it's 4 times more expensive. But now what we have to realize is you wear this coat for 2 years, you get tired of it, you come and trade it back. Over those 2 years, it would have appreciated in value. So perhaps you'll get back 12 or 14,000 for the coat. Therefore, your total spend will be roughly the same as if you bought a fast fashion item. The only difference is after 2 or 3 years, the fast fashion item will be broken or worn and won't have any resale value. So it's important to think about it is not just I'm buying something that's more expensive. I'm buying something that I can later sell and get a lot, if not all my money back, depending on the item that you've bought.
Yes. So if you have a passion for luxury brands, or you want to grow your passion quick fast like Tebogo does, then go on luxity.co.za. There's quite a lot. I mean, in terms of brands, I'm just on the apparel banner, and there are so many brands from Dolce & Gabbana to Miu Miu to Vivienne Westwood, Tom Ford. Everything and anything that is luxury is on the website. So check it out when you have some time and get yourself a beautiful piece, all right, for Christmas. Michael, thank you. It's always just such a wonderful masterclass, as I've mentioned, to talk luxury brands, particularly when we look at South Africa as an example. Thank you for the time. Eh?
Great being with you today.
Awesome. Michael Zahariev, in his capacity, chatting to us as co-founder of Luxity, South Africa's leading pre-owned luxury marketplace.